From the Opopka Studios in Oklahoma City, you're watching the Press Row. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Barry Trammell. Time for our inbox segment. Barry, we take questions from email, answer them here on video. Let's get right to it with a question from Herb. Herb says, as a longtime season ticket holder at Oklahoma State, how can you get excited about going to Stillwater and watching some of those football games? At least play one decent non-conference game. I'll continue to go regardless of who they play. Excited about them though? No.
Well, this is, of course, in reference to the Mike Gundy, Mike Holder feud over scheduling. Holder scheduled a couple of tough non-conference games in 13 and 14. Mike wants no tough non-conference games. But here's part of the problem. Herb's part of the problem. If you keep going, there's not a lot of financial incentive for OSU to beef up the schedule. So if you'll go watch Savannah State, they'll probably keep scheduling them. So. That would be my message to fans: is if you really feel strongly about it, you can vote with your pocketbook. But I think the way college football is going, the pressures, the playoff, the television demands, all kinds of things are making more and more schools realize we got to play somebody. We've got to give the market what it demands. So I think this whole debate will get settled on its own, but. I don't blame Herb at all. Nobody wants to see an overmatched game.
Well, and you mentioned, though, the numbers of people that have gone, and I think this was referenced in something you wrote, Barry, about Mike Gundy wanting to not have a good schedule. And the numbers, when you look at attendance for that Savannah State game a year ago, which everybody knows what a train wreck that was in terms of competitiveness, it was practically the same as some of the conference games that Oklahoma State played at home, within 1,000 or 2,000 fans. So they had almost as big a crowd for Savannah State as some of these other games that people actually wanted to see. So yeah, fans aren't exactly letting it be known that they aren't excited about this. It looks like, for all intents and purposes, they're cool with it. They're fine going and watching a blowout like that. So I think until fans say we're not going to go, we're not going to watch this until it's a crowd of 25,000 instead of 55,000, you don't see a lot of motivation that way to change the schedule. Now, I do think that the playoff format will change it, but it's going to be a slow one in Stillwater, it looks like. All right, back to the inbox. This one from Brad. Brad says, is college basketball really dead? The 2013 NCAA tournament was the most watched tournament by TV viewers in 19 years. The final was up 18% over last year's dream matchup of thoroughbreds Kentucky and Kansas. Well, okay, is college basketball dead, Barry?
Well, no one's ever said it's dead, and no one has ever said that the NCAA tournament was hurting. In fact, it's the converse, which is this. The regular season has always been the problem in college basketball, and that's what has really been gasping for air in recent years, particularly this year. The NCAA tournament's always been popular and always been good. Now, the numbers are spiking for the tournament, I think, for a couple of reasons. This is the second year of the new television format in which every game is televised. 4 different networks partner to show the tournament. That means you can watch whatever game you want, a lot more reason to watch. Last year, the first year of that, was a little confusing. Not everybody even realized where it was all, when it was on, what was on. Now it's a little bit more comfortable. I think that explains the uptick in the ratings. But the tournament's never been the problem. Yeah. It's always been the regular season.
Yeah, and there's definitely problems with the regular season. Look at we were talking about attendance a second ago. Go look at attendance and look at it not just with teams that are maybe middle of the road or not going to make the tournament, but look at it from some of the great basketball programs. Even they're struggling some with attendance. So I think if you look around, there's plenty of evidence that there's problems with the game. You look at some of the scores, some of the box scores. You can see it there. Barry, you wrote about sort of the change, talked to Billy Tubbs. He brought up a lot of issues with the way the game's officiated, the way it's played. It's just not exciting to watch anymore. I think that shows in some of those regular season numbers if you go look at box scores and attendance numbers. Back to the inbox, this one from Jordan. Jordan says, things that could make college basketball a little better. Teams not able to call a timeout after they make a basket. Barry, Jordan is going to be a regular here for the next couple weeks with some ideas about changing college basketball.
Well, I like his idea. I actually think there's a lot of things we could do with timeouts. This is one of them, but how about this? No timeouts that get a team out of trouble. No timeouts when you're trapped in the corner. No timeouts when the 5 count is on you. No timeouts when the 10-second count is running down. Don't let the teams use timeouts to to get out of trouble, what you're doing is penalizing good play on the other end. We want to see steals, we want to see pressure, we want to see turnovers. Those are exciting things in basketball, and we're letting timeouts get rid of some of that. So timeouts, I don't mind a timeout after a made basket. That's okay. But if you want to get rid of it, fine. But let's get rid of timeouts that interrupt the flow of play.
I would like to see the coaches not be able to call timeouts again. And
I like it.
I think timeout should be called by players. If they want to call a timeout, great, call it, no worries. But I think a coach being able to holler, run down the sideline, get an official's attention and call timeout when he senses something wrong, make it the players. Make them make that decision on the court. We talk about, what happens between the lines. Let's make timeouts all between the lines too. All right, lastly, let's go to the inbox for Jeff. Jeff says, if Kendall Thompson doesn't win and keep the OU quarterback job, will his dad write a tell-all book? Wow, Jeff with some conspiracy theory here.
He's all worked up about Charles Thompson. Hey, let's have a little love for Charles. I mean, Charles has some skeletons in his closet, but Charles Thompson paid his debt to society. He spent time in a federal prison. I don't know what more, pound of flesh you want from the guy. I think it's a success story. I don't think it's a cause for concern to see Kendall Thompson potentially quarterbacking the Sooners. In all the years of OU football, we've never had an OU quarterback's son quarterback the Sooners as well. And to think that it might be Charles Thompson's son, to me is a sort of a comeback story. I think it would be sort of cool if it happens. I don't know if Kendall Thompson will be the quarterback this year or ever, but he's got a shot at it, and if it happens, I think it would be a good story.
It sure sounds like he's impressed some people this spring. We obviously, media, fans don't get to watch spring practice. We'll probably not walk away from the spring game with a lot more knowledge of the quarterback battle, but it sounds like from talking to people that have watched practice, watched these quarterbacks, that it's not nearly the separation between the top two guys and Kendall Thompson like a lot of people thought there might be in this quarterback battle. So Kendall Thompson's made his mark this spring. I don't think he's the starter come the fall. I'm still going with Blake Bellberry, but it's interesting to hear how far he's come and to think one day he might be the Sooner quarterback. Hey, be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoma.